We have a question from a spiritual seeker. I'm really confused about my state and situation because I had been diagnosed with depression in 2013. But 6 months later, I stopped taking medicines. My life continued and started my path of self knowledge. This time was when I met yoga in a traditional school. So it has been helping me on my spiritual path for many years. I was in India 2 times. In 2021, my father died suddenly, and though I did have transcendent experience before, mostly during meditation, when in the hospital in his room and after my dad died, I started to see and feel things almost anytime and anywhere. I don't follow any guru anymore, not because I don't respect them, but I don't need anybody and any circumstances to connect above or to the source, or just mantra singers can help to calm my nervous system. So basically they're saying that they don't need an intermediary to establish their connection with the source. That's what I feel. And mantra singing is something which brings relief to the seeker. A few months later, my depression came back. I was the one who accompanied my father in his last days. And ever since, I take medicines again. Not too much, but for almost 3 years now. I have never been somebody who can stay in a workplace for decades or even for years. I'm much more a free spirit, mobile and curious, and entrepreneur type. But this spring, I had a super intense and short relationship with someone which I cannot understand still. And after that, I lost everything. My job, my car, my home place, most of my friends, and almost my common sense. So I assume that the relationship ended, and with the ending of that relationship came a change, because of which all of this happened. Excuse me. Not passively, intentionally, I quit my job, I sold my car, I moved, etc. Then after about a 6 months period, where I really wanted to find out myself, but honestly, I lost interest in everything. I spent all my money in September. I finally moved back to my previous place, my mother's house. I am not 20 or 30. Okay, so I assume your age is more than that. Big house, but during this half year, I experience sometimes depression, although I take the medicines. Other times I'm super fine, enjoy life. Just my family does not enjoy my life. I get it, they don't get it. Now, I need to start a courier job to have money with university degree and many other education. Now, my question would be these. How do I know if this state is which kind of depression? My main problem is that anything that I think I should achieve, creative projects mostly, fails or just stucks, and I'm totally confused. What I want, do I want anything, what is happening, who I am, and where is my engine? Does it happen that someone who takes antidepressant goes through an awakening? Well, the person does not go through an awakening. The awakening happens, and the person begins to dissolve in that awakening, but doesn't completely disappear, but remains there as Ramana Maharshi would say, the remnants of a burnt rope. Otherwise, my depression states always goes with tension on my forehead between the eyebrows, where the sixth chakra sits. Would that mean anything? The other thing with this job, which is a bit confusing compared to my skills and previous jobs, but it is all ego, I know. So I truly feel with this job and living in my mom's house that I'm going back into my life, the previous timelines. Sorry for my honesty, but my worst moments, I ask myself and the universe, what the heck is happening? Well, she didn't use the word heck, I just put it there. She used some other word, which I think you all know what is it. Thank you in advance and wish you all the best. Okay, so this person is probably from a European country. English is not their first language, just like myself. So some of the sentences may not be very clear, just as I speak sometimes and my sentences are not all that clear. From what I see is that when we are in this situation in life where we're totally identified with a false self, a false image of us, where we say, I am like this, but I should be like that. One has to examine in depth what is going on, which requires sitting quietly and earnestly investigating as to what is happening rather than what should or should not be happening. So that sincerity, that earnestness in inquiry is required to fully understand what is going on. It is usually a pain that we are trying to escape. And when we try to escape that, we try to grab hold of temporary things which provide us relief. Sometimes it can be a relationship. So from what I got in that small paragraph that you had written, is that you got into a relationship, but it was short and intense. And yes, a short, intense relationship can feel like love, but that intensity never lasts. That intensity is a pointer to us that we are fundamentally avoiding our own nature and trying to align with something else, trying to align with the image that we have projected outwards. The image may say, I need this, I need that, I should be like this, I should be like that. I'm in my 30s or 40s or whatever age group, 50s, and I have not achieved this much in life. I should be achieving this much in life. My business should take off by this time. So all of this is based on constant comparison. And that is how that false self or the false image has sprung up. It has sprung up through constant comparisons, through ideas. So what is to be done? The question is. First thing is, if we can totally be present to the situation the way it is, we will notice that we don't have much control over things, over our reactions, over how people behave, how things happen in life. Yes, we would like to have a well established work, business, job security, a good relationship, and house, car, everything. But life is not designed like that for a smooth flow. So life says that no, there is an experience here. Okay, that experience could be a heartbreak, a short, intense love story which abruptly ended. Now, when that happens, of course, one feels devastated, one feels depressed, because we have mistaken intensity for love. Even in life, we mistake thrill, excitement, and joy to be love. These things have got nothing to do with love, because thrill, excitement, euphoria, ecstasy, all these things are simply manifestations. They just give you intensity, and intensity is not love. Love is the substratum. Love does not require the other. Love means to be totally present to oneself. Love means simply to be. And in being, there is total acceptance of things the way they are. So when we become totally present and accept everything the way it is happening. Okay, living in mother's house may not be perceived as something very acceptable in certain parts of the world. In India, it is not that big a problem because we are a very close-knit society, and living with parents is usually not looked as a bad thing. But I know that in Western nations, this is a bit of a problem, If somebody is living in their parents' house, they are judged. But then where am I in all of this? What is making a movement inside me? If the judgment is coming from an external source, what can I do? If I totally accept myself and my situation the way it is right now, and I say that I will use this opportunity. Right now, I have a roof over my head. I have things sorted out. There is a job waiting for me to provide me with basic sustenance. I have these things. It's not that I'm on the streets. It's not that I'm homeless. It's not that I have to look for a job. I have certain things lined up for me. Now, how can I do better for myself? Or let's put it another way. Now, how can I be my most creative self? As you say, that you are of the creative mindset, that you are of the entrepreneurial mindset, then you can take out the time to be creative in a day, even with the job. Because if you're totally passionate about anything that you do, and I believe you mentioned about yoga as well. So let's say if you want to teach people about yoga, then you will take out time, no matter what, to do that. That will not feel like a burden. If your creative projects are feeling like a burden, then you're totally identified with the thinking mind. I will explain this concept. So, conceptually, we divide the mind into two. It's not like that, but to explain, we divide the mind into two, a working mind and a thinking mind. Now, thinking mind is always concerned with the outcome, a preferred outcome. What should be, what should not be. If I do something, it should get eyes. It should be popular. It should make me money. It should not do this. It should not do that. The working mind is just what is. Okay, I have to create next piece of art. Let's say a painting. I get the paper. I think of the concept on my mind. I write down the points, and then I start translating them into, rough caricatures. And finally, I start drawing it and then putting paint on it. And that is all working mind. It has got nothing to do with how the painting will be perceived, whether I will make money from it or not. It's got nothing to do with that. It's only what needs to be done next to complete this piece of project. That is the working mind. So when the thinking mind is activated, the working mind shrinks. Because thinking mind is always concerned with what if this, what if that, fear of failure, fear of rejection. It's fear, fear, fear. Totally connected to a story, to an outcome that's running in the mind. It could be anything from the past. I haven't been successful in the past, therefore why even bother trying? I know everything fails, so why should I even do? Why should I even bother? It is all these stories that are running in the mind. And what is the center of this mind? The center of this mind is me, the image, the false self. So, self-awareness is the first step towards spiritual understanding. And it requires silence, it requires deep contemplation, it requires observation of what is happening. Slowly, as this thinking mind begins to subside, with the acceptance of situation the way it is, okay, it is this way right now. I have to live in my mother's house right now, and I am this and this age, but it doesn't matter because I'm alive. I have vitality. I have that creative force within me. I'm bodily abled. I have an excellent mind. I have an excellent thought process. So why am I concerned with the outcome? Let me just try. And I can run my courier business or any other work that needs to be done. If I have to do even the corporate job, if you're totally earnest and serious about your creative work, you will find a way to make things, to do things. In fact, it has been seen that when obstructions are presented, only then the best comes out in an artist. There is no artist who has been spared from obstacles. So obstacles, in some cases it could be family or a hectic job or any other thing. Life tests us. It puts us in difficult situations. In some cases, relationships break down, this heartbreak, and still you've got to do the work. Still you've got to bring out the creative projects. And they use the pain of the heartbreak and channel it into that creative project. So there are many ways to get around it. But you have to sit and closely examine the thinking mind, this me, what is this me? The answers are not outside, they are not in the books, they are not in the talks. They are only available by going inwards and looking at the core of all the structures that are present within. Once the boundary between the inner and the outer becomes porous through this observation, everything becomes a one seamless whole. And then this doer mind, this thinking mind, which is creating obstacles, obstructions in the path, this begins to fade, and the working mind, which is the creative mind, begins to come up. And you see, this is the peculiarity of this thinking mind, that it's going to bring in random things at the random time. So when you're working, it will bring you the grief of a relationship. When you are in a relationship, having problems in a relationship, it will bring you difficulties in work. And that is what one needs to see. That is the trick it is playing. How it is shifting shape. But it's the same thing which is being presented to us over and over again. Nisargadatta Maharaj said that don't worry about seeing the absolute or knowing the absolute. That is not your concern. Just see the false for what it is. Let the false drop. And the sun, the self-luminous sun of pure consciousness, will reveal itself. Because that is the one that is powering everything, including the false self. You just do your bit. Rest, leave it to the universe. Move with this conviction that your essence is indestructible. Nothing can disrupt your peace if you are with yourself. The moment you abandon yourself and start the movement of becoming something other than what you are right in this moment, you will encounter pain. The more the separation between who you are and what you should or should not be, the more will be the suffering. And the more you accept yourself right now the way you are, with all the flaws, brokenness, imperfection, whatever the perception may be in your mind, it is just your mind which is creating that perception. Mind which is the false self. There is no substance to it. There is no reality to it. Because it is not your constant experience. There are moments when you feel depression. There are other moments when you feel joy. If it was all gloom and doom, you would always be depressed. But that's not the case. So I hope this answer is helpful to you, and I wish you all the best in your life and in your work projects. I sincerely hope that your situation becomes better and you are able to ultimately have your own place and your creative creative projects take off. So my best wishes to you. Take care.